Good afternoon, or actually good evening. Thanks for joining me. This is Dorothea from Through an Orthodox Christian Lens, and I'll be going over some information on Trump's latest posts, one in particular on Truth Social, and some information on that. But first, I'm going to start with this short video that I just saw, and I thought it was, the last thing she says at the end is basically how I felt when seeing the Democrats the Democrats' performance at Trump's speech in Congress last night. So I'm going to start with that, and if you watched my video last night, you'll know what I'm talking about, but I just felt like I wanted to share this.
People that went to this speech last night, what did they do? Did they get together like on a call the week before and say, hey, everybody, we're not going to clap at all for the president at all? Even if we agree a little bit with what he's saying, we're not going to clap. We're going to sit here like this. We're going to pass out signs that say, you're not my king, you're a liar, you're a thief. Everyone's going to, because the Democrats love signs. We're going to hold up signs and we're going to make our point be known. We'll stand once when President Trump walks in, but we're not going to stand at all during the night. I never thought that I would be agreeing with something that Donald Trump has said, but here we are. It doesn't matter what I do. I could find the cure for the most deadliest disease, and these people still would not care. They would not stand. They would not. It's almost like they want Donald Trump to fail. That's the impression that I got as a Democrat. It's like if Donald Trump fails for the next 4 years, we all fail. It was awful last night. You had Al Green getting dragged out of there after waving his cane, going, there's no mandate. Elizabeth Warren playing on her phone all night. I can't imagine sitting in front of the president and playing on my phone. Someone came into my comments on the post that I made yesterday, and they said, you didn't leave your party left you. That just, it hit a nerve with me, because this is not the Democratic Party that I have seen in the past. This is something entirely different. Even when Donald Trump was going line by line and saying where all of the waste was, that still was not good enough. Saying, we want proof, we want to see proof, we want numbers, they have been putting out reports every day. The reason why the Democrats are so upset is because their names are going to end up being tied to all this fraud, corruption, and wasted money. Why else would they be so opposed to finding out the truth in spending and our tax dollars? Why would they be so upset? Who wouldn't want to know that information? Last night was a freaking embarrassment as far as I'm concerned. And I never thought that I would say that, because I am not a Trump fan. I did not vote for Trump. If you follow me, you know that I did not. But last night, I saw a room filled with people that I didn't even recognize anymore.
Yep, exactly. That's exactly the same thing I basically said last night. These people are unrecognizable. So, I just wanted to share that. So I'm going to go on now to explain about the news I'd heard the past, I think yesterday or the day before, in regard to apparently after President Trump did his speech and was talking about how Zelensky was going to do the deal, the rare earth deal with, he agreed to sign the deal. But then hours later, not very long after that, he decided he wasn't going to do that. He's been flip-flopping like this. And, I understand why, because he does have, Nazis in his government that have threatened to kill him. They had said that at the beginning. I've heard it from Max Blumenthal. I've heard it from Scott Ritter that they had told him when he was trying to do, he came in as supposedly the peace candidate in Ukraine, but when he tried to get along with Russia and try to, no, the Azov people said, you're not going to do that. We want to ruin Russia. We want Russia to go down. And if you try to do the peace deal, if you try to do this again, we're going to hang you from the, main street or, main square, basically from a tree. So it wasn't really nice words. So he's stuck in a bad position. So, but there are many there, and I feel for the Ukrainian people. However, peace does need to come because the suffering needs to stop, as we said. Then Trump turned around after this happened and announced that he was going to deport the 240,000 Ukrainian refugees that came over when the war started, because the Biden administration allowed them to come in, and they fled. A lot of them actually went into Russia, and certain other countries in the area, but they also came here. And it's understandable. People want to flee war. They don't want to be there. And also, when he said that he was going to deport as some kind of threat to Zelensky, I don't think that was a good idea. Because then I worried that Zelensky would be fine with that, because he's been desperately trying to get people off the street to conscript them into the military. And then if we deported all those people, well, then he's going to have an issue with losing more of the Ukrainian people. So I didn't think that was a very good idea. Although I'm sure this was just a bluff. He wasn't going to really do that. But thinking about it, if you think about it, that wasn't a good idea. And so that was my view on what he said there. Then, after he had basically said that to Zelensky, he said this on his Truth Social, and I'm not sure when, but recently, in the last day. Let me explain after this what's going on here. Shalom Hamas means hello and goodbye. You can choose. Release all of the hostages now, not later, and immediately return all of the dead bodies of the people you murdered, or it is over for you. Only sick and twisted people keep bodies, and you are sick and twisted. Let's not forget that the Hamas wanted to give back the bodies of those that died by indiscriminate bombing by the IDF, but they wouldn't, the Israeli government, Netanyahu, wouldn't take them back then. So let's just remember that. I am sending Israel everything it needs to finish the job. Not a single Hamas member will be safe if you don't do as I say. Again, this sounds horrible. I have just met with your former hostages whose lives you have destroyed. This is your last warning for the leadership. Now is the time to leave Gaza while you still have the chance. Also, to the people of Gaza, a beautiful future awaits, but not if you hold hostages. These people have nothing. Why would they be holding hostages, right? None of this makes any sense. If you do, you are dead. Make a smart decision. Release the hostages now, or there will be hell to pay later. Well, he says this all the time. He said that last time, and Hamas released a few, and that was it. It's just ridiculous how he goes on about this. So when I read it, I decided I wasn't going to freak out, or, yeah, it's harsh, but I've gotten now somewhat used to his bombastic statements that he makes. And I thought, well, I wonder what brought this on. Other than the fact that he always wants to look tough, right? So here's a great explanation by Mahmoud. He gives good updates on what's going on in the Middle East, especially Israel, Gaza, the Arab countries. And he's going to discuss what was going on with this. Because before this bombastic statement from Trump, they had met with Hamas, Trump's envoy, to try to work out something, some kind of deal. So that's what I'll tell you, and then he'll tell you the rest.
And by politicians as well, you're going to have to talk to them. And the United States is doing that. And I also spoke about how that is linked to the United States disapproval of the way Israel is conducting the negotiations with Hamas, and that these negotiations are not bringing any results. Today, there was more elaboration. There was a report coming in saying that the United States believes that Israel leaked information about direct talks with Hamas in an attempt to sabotage them. And that report came in the Times of Israel, quoting U.S. government officials. So these officials are saying the talks between the United States administration and Hamas, they were supposed to be secret, but Israel published and leaked this information so that they can fail. What do we understand from this? We understand that Israel is not happy with the fact that the United States administration is talking with Hamas. Yesterday, some of the reports stated that, Israel knew beforehand, and, then later on we had our opinion. The Netanyahu office said that, we told them exactly what we think about this. But the fact that now these government officials from the United States are saying that, no, Israel actually wants to sabotage them, this means that Israel was not happy with these talks, and it also believes that these talks could lead to something that's not in the benefit of Israel. And that's why they primarily tried to sabotage them. Going back to Donald Trump.
Imagine being a child, wrapped in nothing but thin rags, feeling the cold bite through your skin. In Gaza,
Donald Trump, of course, met with the Israeli prisoners of war, calling them hostages. The remaining Israeli prisoners of war inside of Gaza, the vast majority of them are IDF terrorists from the Gaza division who were taken by Hamas on the 7th of October, after they took down the whole Gaza division in just a couple of hours. Yet, in mainstream media and politicians and people like Trump, they're trying to still spin things around and say that these people are hostages. You're talking about soldiers. We're no longer talking about hardly any civilians remaining inside of Gaza. And of course, the Palestinian resistance, they're not going to give them for free. And of course, he's ignoring the thousands of Palestinian hostages who were kidnapped by Israel under what Israel calls administrative detention, in many cases with nothing against them, just because Israel feels like arresting them.
This is true because I actually heard, I think it was Colonel Wilkerson bring this up, that and I did this in one of the videos, the IDF busted into a Christian, Palestinian Christian household to arrest the daughter, obviously an adult woman, and she was there with her parents. And like I told you, what he had said is that the parents wanted to protest that, they didn't want them to take their daughter away, but they said, don't move or we'll shoot you. And so she was sent to prison for like 18 months. I think she's still there. Was it 18 months or 8 months? She's been in prison, probably about 8 months, for Israeli prison for administrative leave. That's the exact words they used. So,
using this as a method of abuse against the Palestinian society, primarily in the West Bank, to apply pressure on them, to torture them, to make their life as difficult as possible. And then he went on to talk about Gaza and the deal and accept the deal, hinting that there's something being proposed again directly, apart from the things that are being made public. But that deal or any proposal that came from the United States so far to Hamas in these secret but now public talks, they haven't been successful yet. Accept the deal or all of you are dead. Now, the baffling thing is, a few days ago, Donald Trump started to humiliate Volodymyr Zelensky. It was plastered on every mainstream media outlet, or everyone was talking about it, you know, Trump humiliating Zelensky. But Trump, the United States president, threatening a whole population with death, and his little poodle, Marco Rubio, is saying that we will back Israel, and other officials in the administration. It's as if it's nothing, you know. It's very normal for a US president to say that, you know, we're going to kill all of the population if they're in Gaza. But we're very worried about the Israeli population and the Israeli hostages, as they call them. They need to be released. Now, again, with these statements of Donald Trump, we need to measure how his words correlate and connect with his actions on the ground. With his actions on the ground, Steve Witkoff is making more statements now. He told Israel yesterday or the day before, don't continue down the war up until I come. We need to talk, we need to reach a deal. Today, he also made more clarification. I don't care what it's called, phase 2, phase 3. All I know is that we need to get a deal. And then again, they're applying pressure on Hamas. All of this rhetoric, all of this tone that's coming from the new United States administration under Donald Trump, it was already repeated before. As much as Donald Trump would like to portray himself in a different manner than how Joe Biden was, Antony Blinken was repeating the same things over a year ago. And Joe Biden, accept a deal, you have a good deal, no better deal is gonna come. And at one point, Hamas accepted the deal and Israel refused it. And guess what? The United States administration did not apply pressure on Israel. They continued to try and apply pressure on Hamas to accept this deal. And then when they did, they stopped saying anything because Israel did not. And there was even a United States, a United Nations Security Council resolution. And it passed. And Israel did not comply. Of course, we're still not talking about the ICJ and the ICC, by the way. A country committing genocide and Benjamin Netanyahu being officially a war criminal by international law. And then the United States going and saying, oh no, let's actually impose some sanctions on the ICC because they dared to chase Benjamin Netanyahu and call him a war criminal. And of course they have the Hague Act in case any action is being taken. So, lots of hypocrisy, and in many cases the new administration is similar to the previous administration. However, like I said before, it's very important to look at the actions on the ground. So far, despite all of these threats, Israel hasn't restarted the war. Israel has breaches, like they had breaches during the ceasefire, like they have breaches still to this day in Lebanon. Like they've always breached any agreement. You're talking about a fake entity that was established on fakery and grand theft, mass theft and mass slaughter and terror. And no one is expecting them to comply completely with agreements. That's not surprising. However, they did not fully restart the war. And the new Israeli IDF chief of
the magnesium in your cabinet is not only filled with heavy metals,
I didn't have
but
any
it
when I
also
was
can be
watching
making
this
your age
before. No
faster, and I'm
commercials
about
now.
to prove
staff also spoke about the prospect of getting back to the war. However, he's mentioning that it's a priority to get back the Israeli prisoners of war. Today, the committee in charge of the Israeli families of the prisoners of war still held in Gaza and were held before said that, well, we can deal with Hamas at any point, but we can't delay the release of the Israeli prisoners of war.
Okay, so this now I'm sure some of you are going to disagree with some of the things he said, but I'm getting this information from a person who is Middle Eastern, and I thought it was important to see what they're saying on their side, and that's why I listened to him. But I think it's important because we don't always get the real news, especially regarding Middle Eastern issues or Russian issues. It's one-sided for the most part. And as you know, if you happen to have watched Kim Iverson's video regarding what happened with the creation of the Israeli state and who were the first Israelis, the ones to become Israelis, who was the first leader and all that, you would understand why what he said there about what happened when it became a state. So in any case, people always love to say that Israel is our biggest ally. Well, let me tell you, we say that, but what did we just hear? What did we just hear or see in that article? The U.S. believes that Israel was the one that leaked the information about them having their secret, about the U.S. envoy having this secret meeting with Hamas because they want to work through these issues. And they said, the U.S. government officials said that Israel was trying to sabotage some kind of deal for peace. And as he said, Israel doesn't like what we're doing. And so, with that information and that, you have to have all that to understand that background there, that information of what the Witkoff and what they've been doing the past few days. And this information here, the sabotaging of them trying to make a deal, explains why Trump had that bombastic post on Truth Social. He basically had to double down on how horrible Hamas was, how he's backing Israel, but I do think there could be an underlying thing here of him being ticked off with Israel as well, but veils it by using everything about Hamas and Palestine, because they're not allowed to say anything out loud against Israel. Okay? So, I thought this was very important, so I wanted to share that with you, because as we were getting accustomed to how President Trump speaks about issues of foreign policy and the people that he meets with or talks with, he's different in private than he is out in public. So, we know now, I've learned at least now, that if I'm starting to freak out over a crazy, brutal, horrible post, that's just a tactic for something. It's a ploy for something. And so, we'll just have to see what happens. We'll have to see what happens in this deal. But for right now, relatively speaking, it's not perfect, but there is still a ceasefire of sorts. So, I wanted to share that with you. Please share your thoughts below my video if you'd like. Thanks for watching. Please follow my channel, like my videos if you like them, share my channel, share my videos, and I hope you have a wonderful night. Until next time.